Welcome to the Ice Turner experience. If you haven't subscribed yet, I encourage you to do so. As well as I encourage you to like, comment, and share, with your friends, with your loved ones. And look at previous installments or videos, depending on where you're at. I liken my channel to a one-stop shop. If you're looking to grow spiritually and grow in the internal man, I encourage you to look at Scripture of Game. We give you much deeper insight to exactly what the Scripture is trying to communicate to you. Through decoding certain messages and rightly dividing the truth in a more fruitful, dignified way. If you're looking at becoming an uncommon gentleman and dealing with the opposite sex, I would encourage you to look at the Macology installments. This is something that will cause you to separate yourself or to be separated from the crowd. And by being separated from the crowd, you end up standing out from the crowd. And those that are lovers of the female species, such as myself, I would highly recommend that you look into the Climax series. So you know what it's like to actually be respected, admired, cherished, and worshipped by the females. It also gives you a glimpse into the psychology of their nature and how to basically, utilize it in right standing. And what I mean by that, because, you can utilize something and misuse it. But, what we're doing over here is using things properly for what it's worth and for what it is. So this is actually going to be the second part to I Am in Scripture of Game. I want to dive a little bit deeper into this. The rest of the information will be on Patreon. We will get much further into this. I'm still just touching on the surface because what I really want, what I really desire, is for you, my subscriber, my listener, my brother at arms, is to develop and to discover exactly who you are and to really walk into your destiny and be in your destination much sooner than you thought. Because it's not a 10-year plan. I'm trying to actually get you there in 6 months. We are a work in progress. But as long as you are your authentic self in that process, you'll be fine. Just don't cover your flaws with figs. see, with the figs is something that castrates you, as I said before. And what are the figs that castrate you? Validation from others, affirmation from others. And what I mean by affirmation is emotional encouragement, because you don't really need emotional encouragement from other people, right? That is something that you need to do with your own self, with that own dialogue. As you see, King David said, he encouraged himself in the Lord. He encouraged himself in the lordship of him through connecting with the divine Lord. Okay? You don't need validation. You don't need other people. You don't need a million people liking you. You don't need a million people saying, yeah, you can do it. Because I believe that a man is literally what he thinks within his conscious state, while his subconscious absorbs everything. I'm going to say that again. A man is literally what he thinks within his conscious state, while his subconscious absorbs everything. You are what you think of yourself. And your circumstances are like it gives you the panoramic view, spins you around for you to actually see it. It colors, shapes, molds things, thoughts. And what I mean by that is that your thoughts are molded and shaped through how you perceive yourself in your current situation or reoccurring circumstances. This is exactly why the Bible tells you to guard your conscience or to guard your heart, because inside of that can be punctured by the issues of life. That's why I talk about meditating, because through meditation, you not only find that still voice, but you become insulated by that still voice and covered. Because life, or the reality of life, is like someone pouring water into your hand, and you have to balance the stream and the flow of it and not spill much of it. See, that is your mind in reality. The thought in that is what you project. Because you are not only how you think, but you are exactly what you project in your thinking. Did you know that? Now, make no mistake, the law of growth and development is not through artificial perspective, but through introspection. And what are you reevaluating? You're reevaluating the experience of cause and effect, and you're balancing it out on the scale of the absolute truth. Salt and honey. Salt and honey. The salt of life is an irritant that changes the flavor of your perspective. It can change the flavor within the meat of your frustration. And the honey is the healing. So if you look at the scale of your conscience, I ain't gonna get into the pineal gland yet, right? So your conversation has to be perfectly flavored with the salt and honey. Your state of mind, your state of consciousness has to be perfectly balanced with the salt and honey. And that right there, you will find the God character in you. And that is something that is not a thing of chance or luck, but it is the natural result of continued effort of thinking in righteousness or in the right hemisphere. I would liken to the RIB acronym. Resting in belief. See, resting in your belief will help you to reason in your brokenness. Because the glue of that understanding is held by the Spirit of the divine. So to meditate or not to meditate makes or unmakes you. So how often do you think about your thoughts? How often do you question your own doubts? How often do you refurbish the content of your belief? Because character is based on belief. And to understand that you are an earthly master of that thought, the developer of that character, the creator and shaper of your condition and circumstances, surroundings, and destination. See, it's the power of being, or the power of your being, is found through the lordship of your intellect and how you facilitate it as guidance and love. That's why the Bible was referring to loving your wife as Christ loved the church. See, because your wife is your first mind, and Christos is the healing component in the pineal gland. How often do you meditate? How often do you doubt your own doubts? Now, even in the lack thereof, or the lack of doing that, even in your weakest state, you still are the master of that. See, when you begin to reflect upon your condition and search out for that still voice of reason and truth, you become wiser and the master of your surrounding circumstances. Because at that point, you are now facilitating your energy with competence by rightly dividing your thoughts into fruitful solutions. Like I've said before, the more godly you become, the more potent your game is. The more godly you become, the more potent your game is. So do you still believe it's a strategy? Or do you believe that is something that you embody? I urge you and encourage you to not only think, but to rethink. And once you've thought and have put something together, rethink it. Think it through. All the thinking comes from not knowing, so you want to think until you get to the process of knowing. It's like that, the mind to me is like the, remember the, what do you call it, the Rubik's Cube? I used to play that as one of my favorite games when I was a kid, you know, to match the colors. See, that's what you're actually doing with your mind, with your conscience. You're trying to match the colors. You're trying to put everything together. You're trying to structure in your mind. Even when you're playing video games, you're not necessarily playing a video game. You're trying to refigurate your mind. Even when you're dealing with the opposite sexes, what you're doing, you're trying to, match the colors in your mind. Okay? Even when you're at the job, even when you're in your own business, that's what you're trying to do. You're going through life. You're trying to match the colors in your mind. Well, I can say when you get to a certain place, you can match the colors in your mind and colors that haven't yet existed, that you didn't know exist, and bring them into fruition. And then right there, people can actually see the difference. Ice Turner is an experience. I don't belong to any school of thoughts, any philosophies. I am of my own. I am of my own likeness and of my own image. A divine image. I am pure within myself because I deal what is truthful, what is rightfully so. That's why when a young lady asks me a certain thing, so I tell them that whatever I require of you, whatever I inquire of you is my right. Another man, he sees you as his privilege. To me, I see you as my right. So you stick by my side, you'll go somewhere. Being my rib. See, the woman I deal with is matching my mind. The woman I deal with is reflecting my mind. So that's why I don't understand when you hear other guys complain about females. When they talk about females being whores that they haven't slept with. How is she a whore? Because, you didn't sleep with her. The idiocy of males. This is God flow. This is God thinking. If we want to talk about stats, let's keep it all the way 100. I'm 30 for 30. 6 months in, 30 classics, 30 timeless classics. And the material that I have set up for Patreon is way more than this. And everybody say that, they have material for Patreon, and, it's really the same. It's just like they copy some shit. They have some stuff that they have on their YouTube and just send it over there. I'm not sending any of my material. My material for Anchor is different from my material on YouTube. My material for Patreon is different from my material on YouTube. My material for YouTube is different from those three collectively. It's like there's another app even that I fool with. But really, these are like the 4 expressions of me, kind of like that's what really the Mount Rushmore is to me. I create content really for me and for my homies. And now my newfound friends, my Sub-Zero community. One nation under ice. I pray every day to guide y'all right, man. To guide y'all into to the truth, to the actual truth. Follow me as I follow him.